Sickle cell disease is a complex genetic blood disorder that many people misunderstand. And here are some of the misconceptions that people have about sickle cell disease. People think sickle cell disease is contagious. And the fact is that it is not contagious. It is inherited from both parents. So it is not something that can be transmitted through contact or through infection. Another misconception people have is that only people of African descent have sickle cell disease. The fact is that while it is most common in people of African, Mediterranean, Middle Eastern, and Indian ancestry, individuals from other backgrounds can also have sickle cell disease, and they can also carry the sickle cell traits in them. Another misconception people have is that sickle cell disease is just a pain condition. The fact is that pain crises are a major symptoms, but sickle cell disease can cause a wide range of complications, including organ damage, stroke, infections, and delayed growth, affecting many aspects of health. Another misconception people have is that sickle cell disease is curable. Currently, there is no widely available universal cure, although treatments like bone marrow transplants can be curative in some cases, but not for everyone. Most management actually focuses on controlling the symptoms and preventing complications in individuals. One other misconception that people have about sickle cell is that sickle cell individuals, people who suffer from sickle cell diseases, cannot live normal lives. This is an absolute lie. Many individuals with proper management and care can live active, fulfilling lives, although they may need to manage their health carefully and avoid certain triggers that may cause them to have crisis. One other misconception people have is that sickle cell disease is rare or is only a childhood disease. The fact is that it is persistent throughout life. It just doesn't occur during childhood alone. It's from childhood down to adulthood. And many adults with sickle cell diseases face ongoing health challenges. So this misconception, when people understand this misconception, it helps promote awareness, reduce stigma, and supports better care for those affected with sickle cell disease.
Hello, my name is Blessing, okay, and I'm 30 years old. Yeah, I'm 30 years old. I'm from Nigeria, and I'm a sickle cell warrior. And when I was first diagnosed with sickle cell, my parents found out I had sickle cell at the age of 2. And what do I remember about that time? At the age of 2, I practically did not remember anything. The only thing I was told by my parents was that growing up, I usually fall sick every time, and because I stayed longer in my parents, my mom's womb. Like, my dad travels a lot, so on the due date, I didn't come on the due date. I stayed like a month plus after the due date till my dad actually came back. So when my dad came back, that they gave birth to me. The day he arrived was the day they gave birth to me. So when I was falling sick, when my dad travels, they just assumed that it was based on the fact that I liked my dad, that's why I was falling sick. I was missing him and I was falling sick. So they came up with the idea of using my dad's wrapper, that's what we call blankets now, or duvet, to cover me whenever he travels. But they also noticed that it was not just about him traveling. Like, even when he's around, usually just crying and I'm running temperature because I couldn't express myself or what was happening to me. So we ended up having like a family hospital, having a family doctor. I had my own special bed in the hospital, and they just kept admitting me, like putting me on drip because they didn't know what was wrong. So later on, the doctor decided to run a genotype test, of which at that point my parents didn't know their genotype. They never heard of the word genotype, although later on they knew people with sickle cell, but nobody comes out to say that, oh, my child is a sickle cell. Like, it wasn't in the 90s, it wasn't really something that everyone talks about and everything. You just know that, oh, this person usually falls sick, or this person's child usually falls sick, but you don't know what's wrong with the person's child. So it was when they run the genotype test on me, that was when they realized that I had sickle cell, and my parents were both AS, so they had to do the genotype test on my parents, and then they realized that they were both AS. Growing up, I was quite different from every other child. There were things that I wasn't allowed to do, and it was like everyone knew that I wasn't allowed to do it. That was nobody ever sat down and told me that, oh yes, you had sickle cell, yeah, you have sickle cell or anything. I just grew up knowing. So what it's like to live with sickle cell every day. It's unpredictable. You don't know what's up. You don't know. Today you're fine, you're the life of the party, you're all bubbling. I really enjoy cooking a lot. So cooking, I find joy in cleaning, which is weird. But like organizing the room and everything, and then next minute in the hospital, and people around like, oh, but she's one that prepared dinner, she was one that prepared lunch, or she was just cleaning her room and everything. So it's really unpredictable.
Hey guys, my name is Jacko and I am a sickle cell patient. The complications I face with sickle cell on a day-to-day basis is trying to keep warm when it's winter, or trying not to overwork myself or do any activities that can lead me to a sickle cell crisis. For example, I like to play basketball or football, but there is a limit. Because of my health condition, there is a limit to how long I'll be playing. So just in case I don't get into a sickle cell crisis after me playing basketball or football. The effect with my health conditions, I was always in and out of schools, in and out of work, because I probably had a sickle cell appointment, I probably had a sickle cell crisis, I was probably sick because of my health. Like, I don't think my school attendance was, I think my school attendance was always below 80%. Having a sickle cell crisis is something that I try my best to not get, because every time I get it, I receive nothing but sharp pains and agony. Like, one day I'll be okay, the next day, chest pain, back pain, my throat is dry, I'm starting to constipate. Like, everything stops to work in your body when you have a sickle cell crisis. But one thing that keeps me going on these hard days is that I know that God is still with me, and if I keep putting my faith in him, then I know everything is okay. And I do have friends and family who do ask me how's my health and how's my mental, and I can always ask them for advice. If there was one message that I want to give to the world about sickle cell isn't just a disease, it's a daily struggle, a daily fight that we have to go through as sickle cell patients, but we hide it with a smile on our face, knowing that we're still battling sickle cell. And for the people that do have sickle cell, just know that you're not alone. There's people like me and you that are battling this themselves. Just know that if you have a religion and you're walking by faith and not by sight, everything will go well.
These signs and symptoms are quite similar to sickle cell, right? Well, this is common signs and symptoms of chronic inflammation. I came to recently find out that sickle cell is more than just anemia. It is a chronic inflammatory disorder. Even when there's no pain crisis happening, our bodies is often in a state of low-grade inflammation. What does that mean? Inflammation is a response of body tissues to harmful stimuli, such as pathogens, damaged cells, or irritants. Sickle cell are damaged cells. They are abnormal cells. This means that they are not cells that work to their mechanism of action, and that means that we are prone to inflammation.